Hello and welcome to the show. Now, something that always was a problem to me when I was younger was driving past a funeral that was placed on a bakkie or something to that nature, and it was something that bothered me all the time. I finally met up with Ashraf Bux from Alhadiyyah. That is somebody that solves that problem to a large degree with his product. Ashraf, welcome to the program.
Hi, Faizal. Nice being here.
Now, before we go into the burial aspects, which I know is a big component of what we want to talk about,
Okay.
Alhadiyyah is the company that is underpinning the operation in terms of the burial society and the work that it does and manages that process.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about Alhadiyyah for starters.
Alhadiyyah is South Africa's first Sharia-compliant funeral cover for Muslim people. And maybe Faizal, I'll just go back and actually let you know how this whole thing originated. I remember some time ago, my wife said to me, why don't we have a funeral cover? And I said, but we don't need one, because I knew our funerals are so cheap.
Was that because you were not going to die?
Yes, one of those things,
because,
but that's the only thing that's guaranteed.
I think it's about being prepared for anything, and that should be a focus of Alhadiyyah.
Yeah, for sure. But I think at that time, Faizal, if you look at, janazas 10 years, 20 years ago compared to today, if you look at, life became so much more expensive. And I think for more, at the time, it was more for me that, it's cheap, so, I don't have to save for it. But then I've realized that times has changed. I can give you just a small example. If you look at the month of Ramadan, if you think about 30 years ago, I don't know about your area, but do you still have kids coming around with plates of samosas?
I think it's dwindling. It's been dwindling for a long time.
It's not the way it used to be. Now, I'm going to give you an example, Faiz, because this was something that got triggered about 3 years ago. Auntie Aisha from VOC, normally on a Saturday, they'll go to ShopRite, and she'll grab random people and ask them what they're doing there. And this Buddha came in and she said, Buddha, what is Buddha doing here today? Buddha said, no, he's buying milk. So Auntie Aisha said, okay, what are you going to buy? Make with the milk. And the Buddha said, Buber. And the next question Auntie Aisha asked me, Auntie Aisha said, Buddha, tell me, do you still have kids coming around bringing samosas? And the Buddha said, no, not the way they used to. And immediately at the time, Faizal, I related that to my household. And I've realized during the month of Ramadan, because I work, my wife worked, my kids got all extra meals at school, and I've realized that when my wife was finished preparing for us to eat, sometimes she just makes it just before the adhan goes. So it's not that we don't want to send to our neighbors. We try our best. But because time is just so constrained and life became so hectic because it's just everybody is so busy. And the exact same thing happened with janazas. Although we are very blessed being Muslims, we're in a close community, but you know what, Faizal, if you look at your life, how much of the things that you have to do in a day, you don't even get to do all of those things.
Correct.
Same thing with janazas. So yes, your brother down the road want to help you, but he's got his pot so full, whether either financial problems or just he can't cope with his day-to-day life. So he can't be there for you. So now Alhadiyyah is stepping in and we're saying to you know what, we're going to give back that peace of mind to you. If your brother, your sister, your uncle can't help you, you're going to have a company that's going to support you. And also back to what you said, you know what, we're all going back to our Creator. I believe that we have to go back dignified. I mean, we didn't come into this dunya at the back of a bakkie.
That's always been a concern for me. And if you remember about 10, 15 years ago, especially in Cape Town, we did not have these hearses that we see today. So things have changed for the better for our community, and I suppose that's going to continue happening.
Yes, inshallah.
But there's another component to this, and that's the fact that you guys have come in from a cost and economy point of view. Because lots of people in our society are unable to pay for certain things. Now, the fact that a lot of us sit back saying that what is 2,000 and 3,000 rand for a funeral, that could be a big problem for many people.
Yes.
Is that where you come in?
Yes. Yes. And if you actually look at Faizal, it can be a bit more. It can be up to, we did our calculations, you need about 4,500 rand because obviously you've got to feed people.
It costs money to die.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing that people need to realize.
Yes.
It's not even that much in our community. I mean, a funeral from another religion might be 30, 40, 50,000 rand.
Easy.
Our funerals are not that expensive, but it's costing money that people don't always have. And so I suppose that's where Alhadiyyah comes in.
Yes. Definitely.
How do you propose going forward with regards to the product itself? Do you think it's a product that you are only involved with the burial aspects? Are there other components? And on the burial component, what other factors come into play? Do you deal with the coffin, the collection of the body, repatriation maybe, all those kind of things?
Okay, let me first start with the funeral side itself, okay? I think it's important for me just to stress this as well. We now down the extent where we are appointing service providers, okay, that has got the hearse. But even to that extent as well, Faizal, there's also a sore point there because, and I have seen that, and maybe you have seen this as well, when it comes to the imams, I think a lot of people, they got this perception that, you know what, here's a person doing a duty for the Almighty, so we don't have to worry about him. But we don't realize that that person also got to live. And I mean, that person
has bills to pay.
He's got bills to pay. And I mean, I can tell you on my situation, I mean, if I'm financially, down at the fix my performance. So we have now put an agreement in place with the Burial Society that we're saying, listen here, you need to tell us which imam do you use, which tukka money lady do you use, because we want to make 100% sure that that imam does get his payment. The tukka money lady does get the payment as well. So that's from the burial side. Then also the consumer's got a choice. You can either take the funds or you can take the services. If you take the services, we'll do everything from documentation, everything will be taken care of.
If there is someone in the house that has passed on, you are simply saying you give the call center a call and you guys take over from there.
Yes.
Or otherwise you pay out.
Yes, we pay out.
But how do you ensure payout on the same day, especially
exactly
in this
the
community?
Same day. Because we're Sharia compliant, will happen exactly the same day. We've got a very tight agreement with our service providers. Even our underwriter, they had to change the whole infrastructure of the company to accommodate, because we got to have that money immediately. So Alhadiyyah will basically pay out.
This is a practical question. You're with First National Bank. You're going to pay into First National Bank. If you're with FNB or Nedbank, you're going to pay into Nedbank.
Yeah.
So that the money is expedited the same day.
Yes. Or the client can come to our offices.
What is covered in that?
In the funeral.
In the payment. In the
payment. We cover the household. We'll cover mom, dad, up to 6 kids under the age of 21. Okay. If they're over 21 and they're up to 25, we'll cover them, but they must be studying. There must be students. I think what the consumer also got to understand, Faizal, we are very regulated. We're regulated with the Financial Services Board, okay, and we're also regulated with the Sharia Board.
Yes, I'm going to come back to the aspects of your compliance,
okay,
because I think it's a big component of this discussion, primarily because a lot of products that we find coming out in the market at the moment that says that we are Sharia compliant.
Yep.
There are lots of questions around those, and people are saying we're putting money in this pool and that pool and the other pool, and that pool is not mixing with that one. And if you throw water in a pool, they will start mixing in any case. You cannot discern I threw that cup in there, but let me find that cup of water on that side. It's not going to happen. So my apology, I've got a very strong view of how the way pools of finances are mixed. So we'll come back to compliance, just to make sure that that's in order, because for the public to buy into what you do, we'd want to show them that you are compliant in every way that you need to be. When it comes to issues like someone passes away now, you pay out immediately. What in the event of 2 or 3 members passing away in the same family? Are they covered for that?
Yes. It's a good question, Faizal.
At the same time, there's an accident and it happens.
Yes. It's a good question, because that's why it took us 3 years, okay, to get where we are today. And the reason why we took this long road is because I wanted to make 100% sure there's guarantees around this. That's why we've got an underwriter. The underwriter is obviously the company that carries the risk. So if there is a funeral, someone passed on, they got to pay out. And it's not a company that's insuring 100 lives, they insure over 1 million lives. They're quite big. So yes, that's pretty much taken care of.
Now you're looking at your package itself, it's a premium, like, I wouldn't want to call it an insurance premium, because it's not.
No, it's not.
You are paying a premium every month.
Yeah.
What's the premium going for at the moment? For example, the basic one, and what does it cover?
Okay, the one that's 87 Rand 86 cents. Okay, it gives you your funeral cover, mom, dad, and all the kids, like I told you, cover up to 48,000 Rand. It gives you medical advice, it gives you medical response, it gives you legal assistance, and it gives you airtime voucher for 500 Rand. So on the day when someone passes on, you can obviously use that airtime to get in contact with friends and family members.
I'd just like to unpack those services. For example, you're saying medical advice, legal advice. Are you saying that if I pick up the phone and call the call center, I would be dispatched to an expert or a professional immediately.
You will speak to a professional health advisor telephonically.
So these people are on standby all the
They're
time?
on standby all the time. So let's say, I'm going to give you an example. Let's say your little one got bitten by a dog. Instead of running to the doctor and spending 350 Rand or 400 Rand on consultation, you can speak to someone telephonically. If it's very serious, they can obviously recommend that you got to see a doctor, but that is the line for you to save that money. Yeah. Medical response is your ambulances. If you're involved in an accident, we'll take you to the close appropriate hospital. And then obviously your legal cover as well. It's just your bare minimum legal cover. That will help you with disputes at work. Maybe you've got a problem with your landlord and your lease and so forth, yes.
Looking at the other side where you don't do the payout itself and you have a situation where you guys are going to come in and do all the arrangements and so forth. How does that process go? Is it a complete takeover from documentation like burial orders, collection of the bodies in the hospital?
Yes.
What if there's an expatriation? What if it was Johannesburg and you need to get to Cape Town? And then what if it was Lesotho or Zimbabwe and you need to get into Cape Town? So that's the two dynamics I'm looking at.
For sure. Faizal, we had repat in, but when we, in our final stages last year, developing the product and making sure it's Sharia compliant, which it took us quite some time, I think because of all of this, it was very hectic and we wanted to get the product out. We slipped at really looking at, we had repat in. I took repat because I knew, for the same reason we're telling me now, someone passes on in Johannesburg, how it's going to get to Cape Town. We had to take it out for now. The Sharia board is working with it. It will probably take them about 2 to 3 months to make 100% sure that that component itself is Sharia compliant.
Yes.
So it is there.
So you're not currently dealing with repatriation.
We had it, we took it out.
Right. But let's say, what do you define as a repatriation?
Yeah.
Is it outside 100 kilometers?
No, anywhere within the borders of South Africa.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're referring to the repatriation from outside only?
Yes.
But let's talk about Johannesburg, Durban. You cover that kind of.
No. We used to.
Yes.
Right. But now it's just been on hold because the Sharia board. I want them to make 100%, and they want to make 100% sure that it's fully Sharia compliant.
Yes.
For now, we obviously, if you're within the borders of Cape Town, we'll obviously do it in Cape Town for you.
So it's the borders of Cape Town.
Yeah, because we are expanding into Durban and Johannesburg, so it's not a problem at all. But I mean, if you're now going to be in Bloemfontein, and let's say we are not in Bloemfontein, obviously we gotta. It's not really about where we are. It's more about you as the consumer. I mean, if you signed up and from Cape Town and you are in Johannesburg, obviously we got to get you back. You got to get yourself back to Cape Town. Now we cover you 6,000 Rand in Cape Town because obviously you are a member from Cape Town.
Yes.
But now for you to get from Johannesburg to Cape Town, you're obviously going to have to get yourself to Cape Town.
Yes.
But within 6 months, we had it. We definitely got to get it in. I give it about 6 months maximum. All our members will have repat again, inshallah. Not a problem.
Okay. Moving forward, I know that we want to discuss compliance because compliance is something that is of critical nature to the community. If you attach the word Sharia to anything today, you need to be. I think it's a big term. In my view,
yes,
it's a big term.
It's a very
Sharia
big term.
compliant. I think it's wide, and we talk about a lot of scholars having different approaches. If you talk about Tawfiq Chowdhury, he has a very specific approach to Sharia compliancy. He doesn't believe certain things. And then if you talk locally, maybe the ulama bodies has a different approach to compliancy, and especially with this funding involved. And some people are saying, but is this not an insurance kind of thing? And where does insurance fit into Islam? Some people are saying, well, you know what? You cannot have a life policy perhaps or an annuity policy, but you might be able to have insurance on goods like
your car.
Yes, whatever it might be. So there's all these opinions that's going on around that. How do you approach that as a company?
I think first what's very important, Allah Ta'ala tells us you got to tie your camel. And I think that's where everything stems from. You got to tie your camel. Coming back to Alhadiyyah, we are Sharia compliant, and yes, that word is a very strong word. Just to give you a little history of Alhadiyyah.
Because that's underpinning your campaign.
It is.
You are saying Sharia compliant.
It is.
So we need to understand that component.
Yes. Faizal, when I put Alhadiyyah together the first time, that was about 2.5, 3 years ago, I obviously went and visited different sheikhs. One thing that I first wanted to get very clear, because Alhadiyyah has got a built-in component for sadaqah that we give back to the communities, to whoever needs the funding. And I obviously wanted to make it very clear to them that I wanted to make sure that they understand where we're coming from. I wanted that funding to be used across humanity. So we're not saying Muslim people, we're saying humanity. Of course, for me, Islam stands for I shall love all mankind. And that's what Islam stands for. The second important thing for me was Sharia compliancy, right? And although I went through some very learned checks in Cape Town, everybody said to me, yes, you are Sharia compliant, but in my heart, I was not Sharia compliant.
It was about defining the actual compliance.
Yes.
Ashraf,
yes.
we're going to take a break. When I come back to you, we'll discuss your compliancy.
Awesome.
Right after the break, we'll discuss Alhadiyyah, the product, and the Sharia compliant aspect of the product.